Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Games Done Quick Hot Fix. This is PB Precipice, the show where we display runners who are on the verge of a big PB in their speedrun. My name is Adef, I am your host, and we are joined today by the wonderful Lil Aggie, but we'll get to him in just a second. We got some announcements, as is tradition. Frost Fatale's 2023 prize submissions are open now until February 20th. Go to GamesDoneQuick.com for more info or use !prizes in Twitch chat to submit your prizes. Unapologetically Black and Fast is coming up February 11th to the 12th. That's next weekend. Celebrate Black Excellence and Speedrunning coming up this month. Use !UBAF in Twitch chat for more info. But for now, Aggie, how are you?
Hello, Adef. I am great. A little sleepy.
Great. That's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I finally PB'd last night, actually, but I can definitely PB by like several more minutes, so.
Good. You never want to PB by too much.
Right, yeah. That's why I intentionally died on the final boss 3 times.
Right, because then there's no content left on the table. And we can't have that.
Gotta milk it.
Yeah, exactly. Aggie, can you tell the gamers a little bit about this category?
Yeah, sure. So we're going to do any percent glitchless. I'm specifically doing current patch, but that doesn't really matter a whole lot. Basically, all that means is that we're going to get to the end credits with less glitches. Ideally 0, but, you know, Elden Ring's a little bit of a weird game, so we'll see.
Well, awesome. Aggie, whenever you're ready to go, you can go ahead and send this first attempt.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Do you have a character name you would like, Ada?
Let's go with Martin.
Martin, okay. Boy Martin, gonna get it done.
Gonna get it done.
Okay, so the only things that really matter in character creation are the class and the keepsake. So we're doing Samurai because it's objectively the best class. It comes with the Nuji Katana, which is super good and can bleed. It comes with a bow and arrow, which we can actually do some really cool movement tech with. And it has a shield, which we can also do some really cool movement tech with. For the keepsake, we're doing Lands Between Rune because it just lets us buy some early items that we need. And yeah, let's get it going. 3, 2,
awesome.
1, go.
Oh boy, I love me some Elden Ring.
Oh boy. They're something. They're definitely something. What in the world? Okay. Oh, I have a glitch going on. Okay, well, that's... You know what? We're just...
Oh my god, it's not glitchless.
We're just gonna continue. It's fine. It's fine.
Something weird with the controller or something?
Yeah, so sometimes when you alt-tab and alt-tab back in to Elden Ring, your mouse gets like stuck in the click down position and you're just perma blocking. And it screws things up a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, luckily you just spam your mouse buttons until it fixes, so it's fine. We're just gonna jump off the side here. That's the tutorial boss, totally optional.
Also worth mentioning that Aggie quit out on that door opening animation because Elden Ring is timed with without loads, and it just so happens that in the way it's timed, it is faster to be on the title screen, and then when you come back into the game, the door is already open.
Yeah, that is an extremely unfortunate reality of speedrunning Souls games if you want to go fast. Well, go fast by the timer standards. I actually don't usually bother, but I mean, since this is PB Precipice, we'll take any time save we can get.
That's the sauce. That's the sauce.
So we're just gonna pop that rune on our way up here to be efficient, and then we're gonna do something, I don't really know the official term for it, but we're gonna basically cancel a stagger animation when we jump off this cliff by two-handing our bow mid-air at a certain time, and bam, you just land running. I have no idea why that happens, but it only works with the bow, because bow is the only weapon you can two-hand mid-air. And it's very nice, because otherwise...
That's really cool.
Yeah, otherwise you get like just a little tiny stagger animation every single fall. And for whatever reason, they removed the ability to roll out of falling in this game, like you can in Dark Souls. And it's extremely frustrating.
Now, why are you, Aggie, treat me like I am a child who knows nothing of
course,
Elden Ring
sure.
speedrunning. Why are you jumping? What's this shield for? I don't understand.
Yeah, so sprint jumping repeatedly is like just a little bit faster than just sprinting, especially if you're going uphill like this. It's only really not worth doing if you're going downhill. And we want to hold the shield up the whole time we jump, because if you jump out of a blocking state, you're guaranteed to not get what's called a baby jump. And a baby jump is where basically, I mean, you try to jump forward, but your guy kind of just tops upward really pathetically and then just falls right back down, and there's like zero momentum to it, and it's just disastrous. So yeah, we get to buddy hop the whole time.
Then it summoned I bequeath. It will some torrent treat him with.
That is, at least until we get our horse.
Right.
And now we get to run in straight lines the whole time. And thus is Elden Ring speedrunning.
I've had, like, quite a few Elden Ring people on for either Challenger Approaching or PB Precipice at this point, and I feel like the common consensus amongst both the challenge runners and the speedrunners is like, we love running this game, but it sucks that we have to do this setup segment on every single run.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just so little reason to not spend 15 minutes gathering items in an open world game before you do anything of, you know, actual substance. So it's a little unfortunate, especially when the movement mechanics in this game aren't really movement mechanics, it's just riding a horse.
Right.
But it is what it is. So we're gonna pick up the Strength Knot Crystal tier there. That's a plus 10 strength buff for 3 minutes when you put it in your Physic Flask, which will be quite a bit of extra damage once we get our main weapon. We're doing the Serpent Hunter route. There's actually 2 like world record level routes for this category right now, which is pretty cool. But you have options. You're going to murder this man. The golden vow.
You murdered a man.
You know, that was a no ride zone, and he just really did not care.
My God, punishable by death.
Yes.
The brutal land.
Lands Between does not mess around, man.
Clearly not.
I'm also gathering mushrooms as we just go from place to place. We'll be crafting as many sleep pots as possible, which require 1 mushroom, 1 Trina Lily.
Can you hear me?
Those will be very, very, very helpful.
You know, I feel like the crafting system is not only deep, but also probably incredibly useful given sleep pots and everything, but I sure did not craft one single thing in my entire playthrough.
Yeah, me either. Me either. And I actually, so I do challenge runs on YouTube, as I'm sure you're aware, probably a bunch of people here are.
No.
Yes, but at the first challenge run I did for this game after I completed my casual playthrough was a crafted items only. And in my intro for that video, I said that I never utilized it, and boy, did I get flamed in YouTube comments for that, as is tradition. Yeah, they were like, how could you not utilize the crafting system? I used it all the time. You're such a fool, Aggie.
I don't know. Aggie and I had fun in our first playthroughs. Did you?
I had a great time, yes.
So did I. And I didn't touch that button once. I just bought stuff if I needed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a useful system, but definitely not a necessary one.
No, I agree. When I first got the thing that was like, you can craft items, I was like, why is that in this game?
Yeah, I mean, you got to fill up the open world with something, right? So I get it, but yeah, I don't think it's a poor implementation, just maybe not the most necessary.
I would agree with that assessment completely. I think it's done well. I just personally didn't need it, but hey, if it really grumbles your grambles, then you have a grand old time.
There's
now,
our Physic Flask.
You mentioned a YouTube channel. Now,
Yes.
something you may not know. Maybe you do, I don't know.
Okay.
But something about hotfix is like, yeah, we'll have a lot of people in here watching the run today. But honestly, the vast majority of like hotfix viewership, I feel like a good chunk of it, takes place on YouTube after the fact.
Okay.
So what is that YouTube channel called, Aggie? Because those people who are already on YouTube should just pop right over to yours super fast.
Yeah, sure. So this one's going to throw you for a loop. It's called Little Aggie.
Okay, I don't
that's
understand. Why is that?
Because that is my username.
That's strange.
Mm-hmm.
The Aggie YouTube content is very good. It's well catered, well made.
Oh, thank you. We're going to do a cool little tech with this chest where we fall onto it and open it instantly. And there we go. The first split is done.
Mr. Streamer, that feels like a glitch to me.
I knew it was coming. Mhm.
Chests are meant to be open from the front.
Oh, man.
Any standers in the chat?
Yo, where are my standers at? Calling all standers. I have a new abomination emote that I crafted last night that I have not uploaded yet.
Oh God, what is it?
It is Little Ag Slow, and it's my little mascot photoshopped onto a slowpoke.
Good.
And it looks great. It turned out fantastic.
I made, I had tried to make it a point to like all my emotes would look nice for a long time. And then recently, just doing Ironmon, I seem to have a high propensity for getting Pokemon with a speed of 8.
Okay.
Which is very bad.
Of course.
And so I was like, well, why don't we unlocked the new emote slot. So I was like, why don't we make a speed of 8 emote? So instead of hiring someone or taking my time, I made it on stream in 20 minutes. And
that's the way to do it.
I let chat pick what brushes and everything I used in Photoshop. I let them pick everything. And it is just the worst thing of all time. I don't know if you have the chat open, but it's in there right now.
Oh, I see it. That looks like a pretty professional 8 to me.
Yeah, you should hover over it so you can really see the texture.
The details. Okay.
Somebody in my chat said it looks like one of those pool noodles at the local community pool that always has a bite out of it for some reason.
I'm familiar. Yeah.
Like, who is eating those?
Temptation is hard to resist, Dave.
That's why it's called temptation.
True. It's forbidden snack.
Mm-hmm. The forbidden snack. Mother said I'm not to eat the pool noodle. Little does she know.
Yeah, I've found that chat loves just the particularly cursed and low effort emotes. It almost makes you wonder why you would bother making a high effort one.
Yeah, it almost makes you wonder why you'd spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars commissioning people. Mm-hmm. Even though I gotta say, I love my commissioned emotes. But yes, the usage statistics on the streamer end are really quite something.
They're a little eye-opening, yes.
Mm-hmm. What is the lore behind the standers?
There's really not a whole lot of lore. So there's a BTTV emote called Peepo Legs. Okay. And it's just a little Pepe Man with particularly long legs.
Okay.
And we just called him the Stander. And then anytime anyone was standing in any video game, we would just request standers to rise. And then someone made that version of me standing, and the rest is history.
In Elden Ring, you're standing the vast majority of the time. Not right now, but...
Well, yeah. There is a lot of standing in this game, no doubt.
Any kneelers? Kneeling person is one of my favorite emojis because it's like, when would you ever use it? In
That
what
applies to a lot of emojis.
I love the weird emojis. It's like, I love it so much.
I think the most interesting part is that there's like surely a committee that decides what becomes an emoji and what doesn't, right?
Committee.
So they're having serious discussions about what is worth codifying into the emoji collection.
No, it's just Tim Apple.
Tim Apple, whatever he says.
He sits behind his CEO desk, and interns come to him and they say, "What about this poop but it's flying emoji?" And Tim says, "Denied." And then somebody comes forward and says, "What about this emoji of an upside down ice cream?" And Tim thinks to himself, "It's perfect." And then bada bing, bada boom, it's in the next keynote. And then the funniest thing about it too is like, once Apple decides that something should be an emoji, everyone else has to make one.
Oh yeah. Everyone's got to be on the same page with it.
Aggie, can you tell us a little bit about the route in general and sort of why we're headed to Lucaria and like what our next objective is?
Yeah, sure. 1 second. Let me do some sick parkour first. So instead of go through the door, we're going to do a little bit of this, except I mess it up. Don't worry about it.
When in doubt, quit it out.
That's right. That's the motto. This might get a little spicy because now they're going to shoot lasers at me. Yep. Okay, we're going to have to do this jump very quickly. You know what? We're just going to die. I think that's the play right there. All right, cheers.
It's cool being dead sometimes.
Yeah. No problem here. We can continue, probably. I think we'll continue.
No, let's go. Low reset rate for the fans.
Greatest personal best in this category, believe it or not. So we have a little wiggle room for some shenanigans.
Is that what we're calling it now? World's greatest?
Yes.
I can't wait to get the world's greatest.
Couldn't have to skip that elevator animation.
I forgot. Did PB Precipice start or end with a no reset run? I'll give you a little inside baseball here. Kind of how we do it is if we get to the point, the time slot is 3 hours, right? If we get to the point where there is only time left for one completed run and the runner has yet to complete a run, we will have them do a no reset. But if they have already completed a run before then we'll just figure it out. That's kind of that's basically what we do.
Okay, so we're gonna throw the kukri to distract.
Skyrim guards, energy.
Yep. There we go.
Very nice.
And voila.
Beautiful parkour.
Thank you. Anyway, so, yeah, basic route. So, in Elden Ring, there's, I think 4 demigods, kind of just like, major bosses that you can choose from right from the start of the game to defeat. And you need to defeat 2 of them to get into Lanedell, which is kind of the big main city area and obviously required for progression. So for a speedrun, pretty much what you want to do is just kill any 2 of those 4 major boss options and then head to Lanedell, and then from there the game gets very linear where you go through mountaintops and Farum Azula. So, oh my god, I cannot do this jump. So what we're going to do is we're going to kill Rykard, and then we're going to kill Godric. And Rykard may seem like a weird choice because he's kind of like the highest level of those 4 initial bosses you could fight. But he's also the staple gimmick boss of this game, and it gives you a weapon for free, and you don't really need to be particularly high level to use this weapon effectively versus him. And that weapon also happens to just be extremely good in general if you actually do level it up. So that is what we're going to do. And the reason we're in Raya Lucaria is because if you specifically die to this grab attack, this is called a virgin abductor, and we're going to be abducted to Volcano Manor.
Chad abductor.
Sure, I mean, yeah, he could be a Chad abductor too.
Very funny joke that I made just now. I'd like everybody
Verges
on
and Chads,
Reddit.com.
not mutually exclusive, right?
No, who's to say you can't be both?
Exactly.
Aggie, you are on fire.
Yes, yeah, the lava for some reason does 0 damage in this game. It's a very interesting design choice.
It also looks like pizza.
It does look a little bit like pizza, yeah.
It's what I imagine tasty lava would look like. Now, lava is truly a forbidden snack.
Yes.
It looks so touchable.
It's very much not.
No.
I don't even think you can get that close to it in reality.
You can get closer to some lava flows, actually, than you would think.
Really?
Yeah, there are, on like the sides of volcanoes, lava will often run down the side or like come out from these like holes or whatever that they create and just like run down the side and solidify into rock. But while it's flowing, you can like walk right up to it. I mean, it's very hot, obviously, but it's like such a small stream that you can be right next to it.
Interesting. Well, that sounds neat.
And firmly, any geologists in chat, if I'm just completely lying and making this up, I swear to God I've seen videos of this, but you can correct me. But only if you have a PhD in geology. That's the limit.
That's the kicker. Okay, this guy's a little spooky, so serious time.
Very nice.
He's not quite dead. Oh boy. I'm actually not sure why he lived with that much HP. Oh, why did he not stop? He's supposed to stop after he hits you one time. Okay, this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. Fine. There we go. Okay.
Okay, nice.
It works. Sure. I think I might have missed one R1.
Oh my god. Somebody in chat is close friends with, or friends, I guess they didn't say close friends. Friends with someone who is a PhD in like volcano science. Did they say sort of right? Volcanology, very good.
Yes.
They say sort of right, but don't just try it without an expert guiding you.
Darn, I was gonna go down to my local lava flow.
I'm always looking for some magma. Yeah, you can't do that in real life, apparently.
Unfortunate. This is why we play video games.
To be fair, I don't know that anyone's tried to roll up a volcano.
You know, maybe not up, yeah.
You think somebody's tried to roll down?
Well, I'd say it's more likely at least.
You can study volcanology? Heck yeah. I think it's a sub-discipline of geology, but yeah.
Okay, these little lizard men here are called Kyle. They're just all universally named Kyle.
That's one of my favorite little things. Just in speedrunning when we give a name to something.
Yes. They could be troublemakers, hence the Kyle moniker.
Would you say Kyles are, in general, troublemakers?
You know, there's a certain Kyle stereotype that exists in the world, for sure.
I don't disagree
Wall
with that.
punchers, monster energy enjoyers.
Kyle!
Mom disobeyers.
Mom disobeyers. I will eat the pool noodle today.
Yeah, there's our beloved Serpent Hunter. Before we fight Big Snake Man, though, we might as well level it up.
There's a Kyle in the chat room who is not pleased.
I'm sorry, Kyle.
No, you're not.
You're right. Yeah, I'm really not. Just go punch a wall, Kyle. Okay, get over it.
Go practice bass guitar, all right? We all know you do. These little, like, teleporter gates, I think, are cool, but occasionally they are, like, you know, to get to the Rykard boss arena, for one, I didn't love that there wasn't just a way to get there.
It's a little arbitrary, for sure, yeah. Especially when it's the only way into the arena, like the Rykard one.
Exactly.
Well, I presume. I am an old
They are quite
soldier,
convenient for
perhaps.
Liurnia, though, I will say.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a Serpent Hunter +6. We're going to grab this Grace for later. And now we're off.
What's wrong with bass guitar? Nothing. I love the bass.
Wait. Oh, that's why my damage was short. I forgot to put the tears in my physic. Well, I mean, it's fine. It doesn't make a massive difference. I'll be fine for this fight, at least. So the general strat here is we want to do shield pokes, because they just fly out really, really fast.
The fact that that does not consume FP.
Yeah, and that's pretty good. Okay, this move we definitely want to cancel with this L2. That makes them spawn like these insane like lines of exploding skulls, and they always happen to appear in the worst possible location. Okay,
Very nice.
There we go. So there's one demigod down. And now that we did the hard thing, we can just backtrack and do the easy thing extremely, extremely easily, since we're way over leveled now. Makes that physic while we're here. We're actually going to put our main weapon in our left hand here. And the reason for that is, so every weapon has an Ash of War in this game, right? Which has like a special ability. And so that man that was illegally horse riding earlier dropped the Golden Vow, which we put on this little dagger. And the Golden Vow gives us some percentage attack boost. I don't remember how much, honestly. So we want that to be our default Ash of War that gets applied if we're not two-handing something. And the game always defaults to your right hand for your Ash of War. So by doing it that way, we can two-hand our left hand for combat, and then we just un-two-hand to apply the buff. Whereas if it had it reversed, we would have to two-hand our right hand when we're attacking, and then un-two-hand and then two-hand our left hand to apply the Golden Bow, which is obviously a lot less convenient.
I hate this guy, but I also love this guy.
Yeah, he's a bit of a jerk.
He has like big Dark Souls NPC energy.
For sure, yeah.
Like weird, skulking, soulless nightmare man who is here to tell you something nice, but in reality is trying to murder you.
Is he trying to murder you, or is he just kind of trying to rob you? I guess it doesn't really matter.
I think it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, in a universe where it's just like in lore respawn over and over again, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Ray, I also killed him immediately in my first playthrough. I spoke to him and was like, no, I've played enough Dark Souls to know who you are. Like anybody who opens up with like, hello friend, it's like, all right, bud. Something wicked this way comes.
Were you aware that he actually steals your money when you die in Stormville?
I know that now, but I obviously didn't at the time.
Yeah, I did not realize it in my first playthrough, for sure. But yeah, he steals a certain percentage of your runes, so that when you pick them back up, you did not have as many as you had.
I'm unsubscribing from him. I do not like him. Aggie, did you know that thou art unfit even to graft?
You know, that's pretty rude to say, Ada.
Hey, I'm just... Look, I wouldn't say it if it weren't true.
So that was actually perfect RNG there, but I cannot find the right spot to stand, and it's driving me crazy. What we want to happen there is that he does that little scoop attack, and then it goes right over your head. This will work then, just a little bit slower. And
nice.
Bam.
Good recovery.
Thank you.
Where's your, where's the big time save on the final boss?
Final boss is, I think, the biggest time save. I think I died on Godfrey once as well, which is also right at the end. Abductor Duo is my first death in PB though, so we're about to save time right now, actually.
That Abductor Duo and the Crucible Knight Duo are the two bosses I spent the most time on in my casual playthrough.
Yeah, they are pretty rough.
It's just the arena, honestly.
It is a very, very small space.
Like, I think I spent more time on this boss than Millennia, maybe. Or at least it was comparable.
I definitely did not. I'd spent like 6 hours on Millennia.
No, Millennia took me like 5 hours, but I think I also spent 3 or 4 hours on this thing.
Dang, okay. Yeah, Millennia was far and away the longest boss in this game for me. I don't think anything else took me over like maybe 2 hours.
This and Crucible Knight and Millennia were the only bosses that took me more than like 2 hours, yeah.
I think I struggled with Malekith quite a bit first playthrough.
Mimic tier, baby.
You know, we are our own worst enemy.
True. But if the game is going to give me an ultra OP summon, I will use it.
Oh, you mean the summon? Okay, not the boss fight.
Oh no, Mimic tier took me 5 seconds.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's an interesting one to get stuck on, but you know, maybe you're just a very honorable duelist.
Yeah, I just keep everything on.
Yeah.
No heals. Yeah, no. I meant that the Mimic tier made Malekith more trivial.
Yeah. I was not a summon enjoyer for my first playthrough.
That's fair.
I do think it's unfortunate that a lot of the fights in this game seem designed around using it, so that if you don't use it, it becomes very annoying.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, the duos are so much more doable if you have a friend.
Right. So we're gonna bait that axe attack and then bait this charge attack, and then we're not supposed to get hit by that. That's incredible. Okay. Well, at least it was a quick death.
Mm.
And that's pretty much exactly what happened in PB. So, you know, we're not gonna lose time.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think, interestingly, like, this is an area I came across in my casual play, but I think a lot of people did not have this, especially given that, like, so many people thought the abducting was a glitch, because they probably haven't played Bloodborne, I guess.
Yeah, I found Volcano Manor in general, but I definitely did not find this little side cave with the virgins.
Oh my god, that damage is so good.
I know, it's beautiful. This guy's slightly less cooperative. Yeah, we do not like this attack.
What, you don't like the Beyblades?
I do not care for the Beyblade. Oh yeah, let's do it again. Why not?
Oh, this is the proper Beyblade.
Yeah. There we go.
Nice.
Those guys take a ton of extra damage if you hit them when their chest is open like that. The first one, like, almost always does that opening charge attack into a grab attempt. So he's nice and easy, but that sickle one likes to just waste your time. And now we are in Altus. If you're anyone wondering why we even did that side boss, it is just the most convenient way to get to Altus. There are 3 possible paths to take. You either do that boss fight from Volcano Manor, you get the Dectus lift, or you go up the ruin strewn Precipice. But since we're already going Volcano Manor for Rykard and our weapon, the Virgin duos, super convenient.
Is the ruin area, that's the, like, lizard boss thing?
Yeah, good old Magma Worm Makar.
Mm.
Now there's this true stander right there. In phase 2 he stands.
Any
And it is beautiful.
standers in the chat room?
Please rise.
Please rise for our national anthem. Gamers, I would like to take this opportunity as Aggie rides through this beautiful autumn plain. I'm nailing this plug, by the way. If you would kindly follow Lil Aggie on Twitch, first of all, you won't regret it. And even if you do, you'll come to enjoy it anyway. Twitch.tv/Lil Aggie. If we can get a little shout out in the chat room, you literally just click the button at the top of chat and it's done.
It is free.
Well, it's free until it's not. Who knows what Twitch will do next? But right now it's free.
Yeah.
Right now it's very free. Now subscribing. If you want to be a special little gamer, be sure to use your Amazon Prime over there at twitch.tv/LilAggie.
I love my special little gamers.
We all do, and no matter how much they eat the pool noodles, we love them all the same.
Mm-hmm. Ever been horseback riding, Ada?
I have.
Was it an enjoyable experience? I've been once.
I've gone 2 times. I was quite young both times, but I remember feeling like, because I had to have been. Here, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Hang on. I think I was maybe 9 the first time and 10 the second time, and I remember feeling like if I were older and had more strength, it would have been a lot more fun.
Sure, yeah.
Because I didn't really feel in control at all. You know, this like 400-pound wild animal was kind of in control of the situation as a 70-pound little boy sat atop.
Yeah.
But yes, I think I would love to try it again.
Yeah, I went once when I was, I think, 19, and I can't say that I really felt too in control either, so.
Part of that, I feel like, has to be also that, like, you've just met the horse.
Yeah.
And I think there definitely is some level of bonding that takes place for those who have ridden one specific horse many times.
For sure.
Not to mention, you and I had no idea what we were doing.
No. No,
and
we
I have
just
to
climbed
imagine
up and he went.
There's some level of skill required. Horses weigh 900 pounds, though. Yes, I am so sorry to all the equine scientists in the chat room for my absolute failure to estimate the weight of a horse.
True blunder there, Ada.
Truly a blunder.
And bam. All right. That's a fun little scripted fight.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. Aggie, can I get your opinion on something? Because I quite like it, but I know that it's a little divisive within the Elden Ring enjoyers community.
Sure, yeah.
Thoughts on the little song that these trumpeters play?
I mean, I don't see how you could dislike it, honestly.
I agree.
It's a nice little tune.
Okay, now another one. Thoughts on the song that the ancestral people sing down in the depths?
Oh, the little like deer people. Yeah, that one also is acceptable.
I like it too.
What about the Bat Grandma song though? How do we feel?
I'm less all about that one, but I do still like it.
Okay.
Very nice first try here.
Thank you, thank you.
You are currently standing on my favorite building in all of Dark Souls.
Yeah. Just because? Just conveniently placed?
I think it's beautiful.
It is rather circular.
It's just... I'm a real pushover for, like, Gothic architecture. It's why Bloodborne is so good.
Yeah.
And this whole capital is, like, music to my ears. And that building is, like, everything I love about... Like, I don't want to get nerdy about, like, ancient buildings right now, but, like, everything I love about old buildings, that's the one for me.
I respect. Gonna quit out here so we don't get shot in the back.
The dragon really ties the room together.
Oh, it's great, yeah. Fantastic addition. I can see why they just left it there.
Mm-hmm. When can we get ADEF to really nerd out about Gothic architecture? That'll be on my new hotfix show. You've heard of PB Precipice and Challenger approaching. Are you ready for Flying Buttress Guy?
Nice one, Adif.
Thank you. Look, they can't all be winners.
Uh-huh. Could you describe a buttress? What is a buttress?
I can. Do you know?
I feel like I've known in the past, but I cannot recall at this exact moment.
So a buttress is this sort of support structure that holds up the side of buildings. You'll see it in a lot of like Romanesque and like early era Catholic buildings. A flying buttress is this version of the buttress that's like removed from the building and like arches up to it. The most famous example of flying buttresses is the Notre Dame Cathedral, rest in peace, in Paris. It has like all these flying buttresses on the side.
I see.
There are an enormous amount of flying buttresses in Elden Ring.
This is Goldtree. He's a pretty cool guy. All right, there we go.
Rest in peace, it's still there. I mean, yes, but the cathedral is a shell of its former self.
It kind of caught on fire. Did it
Yeah, there was a
not?
little bit of a blaze going on.
Just a slight bit of it lost.
Yeah. I've been to Paris twice since the fire, and I had never been before. And both times I was there, literally everyone was like, man, you should have been here before. And I'm like, I know that.
That's a shame.
Yeah. But also, I don't know. I think just because we have the internet, we think that like, well, we have to save it. But like at the same time, that's the kind of thing that 800 years ago, like, it would just now be a part of the building's history.
True, yeah.
In my opinion. But instead, every millionaire opened their pocketbooks for it, and there was basically a GoFundMe to save the building.
Okay, up next is Morgoth, and Morgoth's extremely scary. I only get one good shot at getting a quick kill here, so we'll see what happens.
Good luck.
Oh boy. Okay, we're gonna have to go to plan B. That whiff was not great. Okay. This is interesting. Oh, Morgoth.
Stained by my curse, such cannot bear. Thy part in this shall not be forgiven.
Okay, well, you know, as long as he's dead.
You're not dead.
Yeah. Any Morgoth you can walk away from. That was disastrous. That was the worst Morgoth I've ever had that I didn't just die on. He was really just not having it.
You did it though.
We did do it, then. It's a lot better than dying, I can assure you that.
Allow me, you are unprevented. The thorn, a husk, the only way, and become my purpose. So I'd like to the flame then and guide.
So the game plan there was to basically, on the first time you fight Morgoth, there's a cutscene, and then after the cutscene, you're kind of teleported to the middle of the arena, and he slowly approaches you. And so you can get a free charge R2 right at the start, and you kind of just trade with him. You'll hit him, and he hits you. And then after that, it's just a little random on what he does, and you want to hit one R1 on him and one more charge R2. And if you do that fast enough, he'll get staggered, and then you can riposte, and from there, the entire rest of the fight is scripted. You just do charge R2s and staggers before he can do anything else. But if you don't get that stagger early, his HP value doesn't line up with where you want it to be at any given moment. And you'll push him into phase 2 before you set him up for a stagger properly. And then you just actually have to fight phase 2, which is a disaster. That's also why we didn't spin the runes before fighting the man, because we did not want to do too much damage to him too quickly. Because otherwise his phase 2 will trigger before the stagger does.
This little guy, he is so eager.
He tries. He really tries. You gotta respect him.
Just so close.
The best part is that if he actually does get on the elevator, he kind of just realizes his mistake and he'll just walk off for you. Like, he does not want to go on this trip up.
No. He wants to kill you, but his desire to see you dead is far outweighed by his desire to not ascend.
Yes. Fear of elevators.
Hey, I'm sure there's a word for that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's less reasonable things to be afraid of, surely.
Aggie, do you have a strange fear?
As a kid, I used to be scared of heights and spiders, and now not so much either.
I think those are both
not very strange, but
not to invalidate, but those I think are the two most common fears.
Yeah, probably. I can't say I'm afraid of anything too weird. Oh, actually, there is one thing that is maybe slightly less common, at least.
Okay.
Water in video games? Being underwater in video games?
Interesting.
It just like shark-type enemies just terrify me. And in the water, I feel helpless to it.
Don't play Subnautica.
Or do. That could be fun.
Hey, that's content.
Yeah. I remember very specifically a childhood trauma of mine is playing Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which is a great video game. That's not the trauma, but
no, it's not.
There is a level where you're playing as Knuckles and you're like swimming through an underground mine and there's like ghosts and stuff, and it scarred me. It was horrifying. There's not sharks, thankfully, but there are ghosts underwater, and you have a time limit to breathe, and it's extremely stressful.
How do you fare in actual open water, like in your real life?
Fine, I would say. I don't think I really panic in reality.
Is that because there's no ghosts?
There's no ghosts, and you know there are sharks, but like
they're
in
not
a video
placed
game,
by developers.
Exactly. Exactly. Relatively unlikely encounter in reality.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes when things that are unbelievable happen to me in Ironmon, something that I like to do is calculate the odds and then compare it to a shark attack or a lightning strike.
And
when the odds of getting struck by lightning twice are more likely than what just happened to me, I really have to take a thinking moment.
Yeah, it's rough. I know the Iron Mon pit.
Yeah, it is what it is. When I was a child, I still have a fear of like I am afraid of heights for sure, and I still am. But I'll go to a tall thing, like that doesn't bother me. Mm-hmm. My issue is when I look over the edge, the precipice, if you will. When I look over the edge of like something very tall, whether it be a skyscraper or even just like a stairwell, I get this incredibly unfounded but very real feeling that someone is going to push me or that I'm going to trip.
You know, I think that's just a good survival mechanism. Frankly, I don't know if that's terribly unreasonable.
My body, my brain's just like, man, why are we standing here?
Yeah, I think your brain's pretty smart there.
I don't like the feeling though.
I feel like most people would not enjoy looking directly down from a tall place, you know?
But I feel like, I don't know, when I do it, like I get very anxious, whereas I'm with people who definitely, nobody loves like, oh, this will kill me. But like at the same time, I don't think they're like anxiously stricken by it.
Sure, maybe.
Yeah, it's more of a fear of falling rather than a fear of heights. I don't think it's ever been put in those terms before, but now that you've said it and I read it out loud, that's absolutely what it is. When I wake, those moments where you wake up from a dream and you're falling in the dream?
Sure, yeah.
And like you wake up instantly?
Yep.
For me, those are incredibly stressful. So maybe that is what it is.
Ow. What? How did he even have an angle there? What? You could not see the man.
YY ladder stall, 360, etc., etc.
He's working on it. Hitting that aim lab.
Aggie, someone in chat says that they will donate $1,000 if you beat the game in less than 1 hour.
Oh, God. I mean, it's possible, but not this time, and definitely not any other attempt I'm doing today. World record is like 58 something.
Who has the world's record for this category?
That would be Forza, the Frenchman.
Maybe he's an enjoyer of the aforementioned Notre Dame Cathedral.
Yes, I imagine most Frenchmen are.
Why not? It's a proud structure.
Mm-hmm.
Less than an hour from now, we can do that.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. It's a nice invisible bridge here. I hard struggled with that bridge in my casual playthrough.
Same, I died there like 3 times.
It is not good.
I agree.
Like the Crystal Cave one in good old Dark Souls 1.
That's great.
Makes total sense. That
the
one,
dripping water.
Yeah, you can see it. It's nice and like overly wide, so that even if you're not perfect, it's fine.
But
that
this one,
not.
they had the big brain idea to put a spiral staircase on the invisible platform.
Yeah, and the spiral's like not at the very end. It's like just kind of near the end, so like you can't. It's horrible. And also, the pathway is not even the width of the visible portion of the bridge, which is extremely strange.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I feel like you're supposed to use the like stones or whatever, but
maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like the design language they were going for was the snow should land on the platform, but it like doesn't.
Yep. It sure doesn't. Up next is my least favorite boss. Just in general.
Yeah.
In this run or any other run.
Every Elden Ring runner, challenge or speedrunner otherwise that has come on here has said exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it's just horrible. It's an anti-fun boss. It's not that bad casually when you're just, you know, not in a rush and you're playing a normal build with normal amounts of damage. But if you try to do anything fun, it's miserable. Because he just has just mountains and mountains of HP.
Yeah, I think it's less about the boss design per se and more about the fact that the design of this boss does not cater itself towards any kind of fringe playthrough at all.
Yep. He just has way too much health. Get a safety grace just in case. Now, on my PB, this actually went perfectly, so I'm likely to lose some time here, but that's okay.
Yeah, how was consumables only on this guy?
Not fun.
Yeah,
Not fun.
I bet.
Thank God he can be rotted. I'll say that.
Oh, so you can just like run around and let him die?
Yep.
I love that.
A horse dismount iframe, yeah, that's cool. Just didn't quite get enough damage there. It's gonna take like 1 R1 to fizz. Yep. Hopefully the stagger still lines up. Oh, good. Okay, this eyeball hitbox is the worst. And he is stalling.
He's got a bad stomach ache.
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
You know, I would too if I was him, honestly. There's a lot of meatballs in there. Why? Okay. Oh, fire giants.
Beautiful. Stunning.
Okay, yeah.
May I ask what consuming the flesh does?
The flesh is, I think it's a 20% damage boost for 30 seconds. So it just gives us that extra oomph to ideally like near script him. But I whiffed a weak spot hit on phase 2. My charge attack timing was also off for the last hit on phase 1, so I had to chase him around, but any fire giant you can walk away from.
That seems to be the central thesis statement of this run.
Yeah. The roughest part about speedrunning a Souls-like is that if you die, it is just so brutally punishing for the rest of the run, because obviously just redoing a fight in general takes a long time. But then also, like, you're missing runes, and like you probably use consumables that you no longer have, and it just spirals so hard.
Right.
So as long as you don't have to straight up redo a fight, it's acceptable for me. Okay, we can still bring this back.
You know, there just really is nobody in video games right now making skyboxes on the level that FromSoft is making
Oh,
skyboxes.
they're gorgeous, yeah.
And they've been doing it since, like, Demon Souls.
Yep. I'm starting to think that these FromSoft guys really know what they're doing here.
I'm starting to think they're onto something here.
They might have a hit on their hands.
I can't believe nobody else is making games like this.
Mm-hmm.
Aggie, what is your hypothesis about the Elden Ring DLC?
So there's that rumor that it's gonna be like Badlands or something like that, which I think is where Godfrey / Horlu was chilling before the events of this game. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any other better idea. I will say that Mikola is 100% going to be the big bad of the DLC.
I think that, yeah.
Like, there's zero chance that they're not. I also think the DLC entrance will definitely be the egg that Moog is hanging out with.
These are all, I like these theories. When do you think it's going to come out?
Too much sense. I'm gonna say announcement on anniversary.
Yeah, I think
So,
anniversary
couple
or
weeks.
E3 will probably be
Maybe, yeah.
announcement.
Okay, Gods can duo next.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut up so you can do this.
If you have a quick comment, you can make it. I gotta go level up real fast.
It's so unfathomably unimportant that I'd rather waste time telling you how unimportant it is than actually raise it.
Fair enough.
Rain.
Do you get to plus 10 in this run?
Nope, just +9.
I guess, yeah, where would you get the dragon?
There actually is one that's not too far out of the way, but we do a little parkour skip that circumvents it.
Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, well, I landed the important one. Okay, now we pray for the fatty to spawn. What is significantly easier to deal with. Hog.
Excellent.
Okay.
Very nice. In the words of your ever important gold split sound notification, that was clean AF.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Oh god, a boomerang. If anyone's wondering what I'm doing with the bow, I'm not doing it very well at all, but You were supposed to cancel the little stagger animation by two-handing it. I really don't understand how it works, though. The timing is strange. Sometimes it feels really easy to do, and other times it doesn't work at all for the entire run.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. It worked that time. You see that? That was pretty fast.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was clean. It's just so funny to me. Aggie, when are you adding my scream to the end of the run? This is so important to me.
I keep forgetting to do it. Yeah, I really, really need to do that.
Look, my self-centered, narcissistic impulses are crying.
I understand. I'm just a chronic procrastinator. Please understand.
You know, I have good news for you. This is so critically unimportant
Oh, God.
that it's fine.
If you say so.
I do say so. Mostly I just think it's funny to bother you about it.
What? Why? Okay.
This game's good.
That was a basic jump. I don't know why that would stagger, but, you know, that's fine.
Do you have a favorite area in the game, by the way, Aggie? Sorry.
Favorite area, probably... Actually, I honestly really like Caelid. I think Caelid's cool. The red skybox is very intimidating, and you get like teleported there early with the chests, and it's like big oh snap moment, you know.
Yeah, oh yeah. A certified oh snap moment.
Could maybe have another S word there, but you know, I don't know what kind of show we're running here.
We're running a beautiful show, Becky. And as we all know, cursing has no place.
No.
This is another beautiful building. I mean, look at this thing.
This one is pretty gorgeous, yeah, I'll have to agree.
It also does raise the question, though, anytime there's a building like this in a Souls game, who built this?
So true.
And why?
Okay, Malakath, please be cool.
Who approacheth destined death? I will.
Oh, I forgot to level up my health! Oh no. Oh, I'm a fool! So you're supposed to get hit there, but you're supposed to take like 2 points of HP to survive. Oh boy, I'm such an idiot.
Mr. Aggie, this doesn't look so good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, we'll see what happens. We're gonna have to do a little improvising here. The worst part is I spent the runes. I just got strength instead of vigor.
Well, it's strength big number. It looks fun.
Big number, more fun.
Good chemicals.
Okay, well, improvising time again. Please, face. Are you kidding me, dude? Okay. Well, that might be an F, but we're so close to the end, we might as well finish.
Well, it's up to you, but we could take a break and then start a fresh attempt. It's up to you.
I want to make sure we at least finish one, so we'll see. If I die again, maybe we'll give up here.
Okay.
There is technically still a sliver of a chance to walk away with a 2-second PB.
Let's go. Chat, give Lil Aggie your power. Any standers, damn it. It's important.
I can't believe I just spaced the health. That's extremely, extremely stupid. Okay, so about that break, Ada.
Gamers, we will be right back with more Elden Ring, more Lil Aggie, and another fresh, beautiful, pristine attempt at any percent glitchless, ideally faster than 1 hour, 14 minutes, 46 seconds. In just a little bit here. In the meantime, first of all, follow Lil Aggie on Twitch. That's important. But we will be right back in just a few moments. Do not go anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. This is PB Precipice. My name is Adef. We just had a really close, gut-wrenching attempt at Elden Ring any percent glitchless by our good friend Lil Aggie. Unfortunately, Malekith claimed what little hope there was left in our hearts, and so we are going to give it another solid attempt here, but some quick announcements first. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also go to twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick if you're interested in looking at our live content, starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. Also, your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support GDQ Hotfix. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy this daily speedrunning content. But like I said, this is PB Precipice, so you're allowed to do attempts on this show. That's what this is all about. I wanted to create a show that displayed what speedrunning really looks like. And so, Aggie, you can go ahead and jump into attempt 2 whenever you're ready.
All right, let's do it. Martin did not cut it, so do we have a better name for attempt number 2 here?
Why don't we try Stinky?
Stink-E. Okay.
If you can't beat him, join him.
True.
Not sure what that means in this context, but you know.
You know, we'll figure it out as we go. That's the fun part about running Elden Ring, right? Is that the resets take a while to get through. Because they just get off to such a slow start that, of course, you're not really going to mess up that early on. What is your preferred length of speedrun, Ada? What's the ideal duration for a category?
Oh boy, I like an hour and a half.
Really? Okay, wow.
I think I prefer like 40 minutes. I feel like 40 minutes is like really nice. But as far as like, you know, giving people time to come in and like also enjoy the length of something a good amount. Nice quit out.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think an hour and a half is like a good middle range where it's like not too long, not too short.
Sure. Yeah.
What about you?
From a runner perspective, I really like anywhere between like 20 to 40 minutes. I think is a really nice range where it's not too short that it's like insanely optimal and like the tiniest mistake means the run is ruined. But it's not so long that like if you get deep, it's not super painful to reset it and run it back. From a viewer perspective though, I think the longer the better. People love their marathon runs.
They do. They love a 100% run. They love an all bosses run.
Yep. Unfortunately, those are just kind of pain.
Yeah. Especially in this game.
Yeah.
But I can also that you're not. Then why I am Carl. Goodbye.
I've done all bosses speedruns of this game before. They're quite the journey. Nice
They're
little
quite a bit shorter now than
6-hour
when you
jaunt.
like when you started there. It wasn't like as it was pretty early in the game's life cycle. I feel like.
I did a very okay, thank you, dear. I did a very rough all bosses pretty shortly after release, yeah, and it took like 10 or 11 hours or something like that. And then after a little bit of grinding and kind of like actually properly routing, it was more like 5 to 6 hours IGT, which is like 6 to 7 hours real time. I'm not sure what the world record is at this point. No one really does it because it's awful. Most people just do all remembrances instead, which is like all major bosses. And that one is actually quite fast.
They sir, but you, I can
And you still get to fight Melania.
Go to the foot.
Yep, you sure do.
Summon me.
Yay.
I bequeath. It will sound torrent.
Is all bosses even a speedrun on the leaderboard?
I don't think it has an official leaderboard, no. I think it should, but it does not. I mean, what kind of Souls game does not have an all bosses category on the leaderboard? Just saying. Highly questionable.
Highly questionable. Yeah, and there's no category extensions leaderboard.
Mm-hmm.
There's an all achievements category.
True. Yep, I have not done that one. I have done Sekiro all achievements, which requires 4 separate playthroughs, so that's a fun time.
Really?
Yeah, shoutouts to multiple endings.
Oh, and you can't. Yeah, I guess there's no like save and quit abuse in
Yeah.
FromSoft games where you can be like, I'll just make a file.
Actually, okay, so there is a cool way in Sekiro to get 2 endings in one playthrough. Because you can do the Shura bad ending and then glitch your way to the standard final boss and also get a standard ending as well. So it could only take 3 playthroughs, but it's actually faster to just do 4. Because of experience points just working out better that way.
How long is that run?
I think it's about 5 hours real time.
It's not horrible.
It's not the worst, yeah. It's actually kind of fun. There's some really cool routing you have to do for stuff like that. Those are the kind of categories that I think are more fun as thought experiments than actual performances. Like the real joy of it is figuring out how to do it efficiently. And then
I agree.
actually doing it efficiently is a bit of a slog.
I was about to use that exact same word.
That's a good word.
It perfectly explains that feeling.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like the most enjoyable parts of like the theory crafting are like you get to route and then the first run is really fun. Because it's like a great proof of concept. And then maybe the second run is good just because of the good chemicals of big green splits.
Oh, second run's always blessed.
But then third run and later, I don't know.
Yeah, especially in the Souls games, I feel like the free time save, it runs out a little fast. Because all it takes is 1 death and you're losing 5 minutes.
Right.
Gotta say, a little different from running Mario, where if you fail, you have to beat a children's video game level, just the normal way.
How many people do you think, because you've obviously grown a lot on Twitch and YouTube since your Mario era. How many people in your Twitch chat now even know that you used to speedrun Odyssey?
I think it's a decently known fact, but like people from those days that would actually have witnessed it, like maybe a dozen.
Count me among them.
All right.
Let's see what my follow age is in your chat.
An OG.
I'm gonna be really embarrassed if it's like not that old. I've been following since September 7th, 2018.
Okay, yeah, that's Odyssey era for sure. Did that all the way up until Sekiro came out, which was 2019. That was quite the shift. Gotta
Yeah.
say.
I do remember that shift, and I was like, I had not played any of the Souls games yet.
Really? You didn't play any of them till then? Okay.
I had played Bloodborne,
Okay, okay.
which is still my favorite, but that's beside the point. So at that point, I had not played Sekiro or anything, and so I just remember being like, well, where's the Odyssey speedrunning? That's what I want.
It kind of nuked my channel, for sure. It was a bit of a hard reset button, but you know.
But the turnaround, I mean, ended up being invariably worth it.
It worked out, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
It can be tough and really scary to like properly rebrand
Yeah.
your content.
Yeah, it's definitely something you have to think very, very hard about on whether or not you think it's worth it and going to work out.
Were you at that time when you consciously sort of made the shift to Sekiro? You know, I imagine at first it was just like, oh, well, I want to try this speedrun. But did it even become a question of like, I think this is better for growth for me? Or is that something that just happened naturally and then you realized it as it was happening?
Yeah, so actually, when I first started streaming and speedrunning, I actually did have goals of growing pretty much from the get-go. Now, whether or not it would become a career or not, I didn't really know, but I wanted to, you know, at least give it the best shot I could. So I had stuck with Mario for like a year and a half at that point, and I didn't feel like I was getting where I wanted to be in terms of speedrun proficiency at it. Like I wasn't a world record holder at it, and I wasn't gaining the massive amount of viewers either. I had been a pretty steady like 30-ish viewer concurrent stream for a while. So I figured, you know, why not just try something totally different and see if it works out. And it was just a better fit for me, I think, in pretty much every way.
It's interesting because, and you know, we've met in person, we've hung out. Like I feel like I know you. You know, I don't know you incredibly well, but I know you well enough to like sort of know about. You know, you have a lot of drive and energy that you put towards this, and that's obvious in the quality of the content and the consistency. But like, it's interesting to hear that maybe in its infancy, but still some shell of that drive existed at the beginning. And I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
For the little Aggie I know, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm the kind of person where if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all into it and try to do it, you know, as right as I can.
Sure.
Like, so I started streaming in December 2017, so 5 years ago at this point. And right from the get-go, I pretty much hard committed to streaming 5 nights a week. And if you like pull my stats on one of the million Twitch stats websites, there's like a counter of how many days you've been live versus how many days have elapsed since you started streaming at all. And I gotta say, I'm quite proud of that ratio because it is like, it's like 1,300 out of 1,600 days I've gone live or something like that.
Wow.
Which of course is not feasible for everyone, but
No. And
You know,
also,
you
I
just-
think it is.
oh, good fall damage. Okay, awesome.
I love fall damage in Elden Ring. Something that I sort of cautiously say, but I do say when conversations like this come up on my shows is like, I can't recommend that people try to become a creator. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
It's so volatile and really unpredictable. But, you know, if hearing Aggie's story invigorates you and makes you excited at the prospect, then, like, at the very least, starting it as a hobby is a lot of... I mean, I've been streaming since June of 2012. And...
That's a very long time.
Yes, it is. But for probably 6 years, my channel existed only to like stream when I felt like it.
Yep.
Like it was, oh, well, for the first 3 years, it was, I want to do attempts. And so I'll stream because that's what we did. Was like, oh, I want to play Mega Man 1, so I'll stream so that my attempts are saved. That's really all I cared about for like 3 years. And I definitely went through phases over the years of like, oh, I think I'm at an inflection point where I could do this more seriously, but I just was young and had so much other stuff going on, and I didn't understand the landscape at all.
It seems torrent.
Yeah.
There is, but I can take other.
So there's no harm in just doing it for fun.
For sure, yeah, and I think that's a healthy way to approach it as well. I mean, I approached it with at least the intention or the hope of being able to someday do it full time, but it was never an expectation, I think is a good way to say it.
Sure. Yeah, that's healthy.
And it's not like I let it like completely consume my life, right? Like, I went to school, I still got a degree, I still had a full-time job until I felt like I didn't need it anymore.
Right.
And it's something that you have to really, 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 really love doing for it to ever work out. Like, if you're the kind of person that sees it and is just like, wow, these people play video games for a living and they make a lot of money, this would be amazing and easy. And that's like the only thing that you're interested in about it, it's never going to work out because it is so much more work and so much more exhausting than you would expect it to be.
Not only that, but like the thing about what you just said that's funny to me is like the quote unquote like, oh, they make so much money is like
not as true for the large majority. Yeah,
for like I would say 90% of full-time streamers, they're making a lot less than you think. And that's not to say that they're not making a living wage because, hopefully, and I was this way, I didn't commit to true full-time living on my own until I knew I was making enough money that like I could support myself. But at the same time, like a lot of your favorite streamers who do this full time probably have other jobs. Like I have this. I run 2 GDQ shows in addition to streaming, and that's how I'm able to like subsidize myself. So yeah, my advice would just be like, try not to have any misconceptions about how much money you're gonna make. Not to say that it can't be done. It obviously can.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a lot less money than you think for a lot longer than you think.
Yep. And you just got to think, right? Like, it's like the 0.1% of streamers that can do it full time at all. And then it's like the 0.1 of that 0.1 that are making like a very like sizable amount of money doing it.
Right. I feel like people
more
see
than
like
you would expect,
like Ludwig or Hassan or something, and immediately have this misconception of like, oh my God, like they're hyper wealthy. So the people who are 1 tier or 2 tiers below them must also be at least incredibly wealthy.
Right.
But the difference in revenue between like that level of streamer and one step down is so vast already. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it is extremely exponential.
Damn, can we talk about the game though? LOL. What an epic chat comment from an epic chat room user.
Mm-hmm. We're just vibing. Carlongas. Oh God.
No, you're stepping into pizza milk. Pizza milk?
Pizza milk.
Bro, what am I
the
talking
pill?
about? The
Not the pilk. I have bad news, by the way.
What is that?
I forgot to mix my physic again. So we're going to have a little bit of a fun time with Noble again.
Can you not
but at least
mix?
this time,
there's no grace, is there?
I know. Yeah, there's no grace here. That's not extremely far out of the way. So we're just going to have to deal with it. But we dealt with it last time, so I think we can survive.
I do want to say one final thing, though, before I close this topic. And not that we're necessarily closing it, but before we move on to the bosses, I also don't want to seem ungrateful. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. Like, it's a dream job, for sure.
I know Aggie feels the same way, but like, when I was 13, I was like, imagine playing video games online. Like, I love content. This would be amazing. And like, I'm unbelievably lucky and hashtag blessed or whatever. You know, even though it's hard, I love it and I understand it's easier than 90% of jobs.
Yeah. Oh, nice repose. That's good. All right, and that is what we call a reset.
Let's go.
These things happen. It's all right. You gotta love contextual button presses.
Yeah, where the R1 does something different depending on where you're standing.
Right, yeah. Okay, run it back. You know, this one, I'm gonna take name privileges here, and we're gonna go with Joel.
Is this a Last of Us reference or?
No, it is a 3D model of a fish reference. Are you familiar with Joel? Anyone?
There's something very funny to me about
I don't see anything wrong with
saying reference about an object.
I mean, I don't know what else to call it. Have you seen the Joel?
I think so.
It is a fish that spins.
Yes, I've seen this.
It's a very, very good Twitch emote.
It's him.
It's Joel.
All right, Aggie.
Yes.
I have some architecture knowledge to drop.
Okay, let's hear it.
First of all, worth noting that this will have to be a no reset, by the way.
Okay,
Because that is all we have time for.
no problem.
But I believe that you can PB, and gamers in the chat room do too. Isn't that right, everybody? Press 1 if you think Aggie's going to PB in this run. We saw how close it was on that other one. Certainly the magic will happen.
Certainly.
Okay. So when you're going into the Malekith boss room, right, there's that arch, the archway that enters into like the Colosseum building.
Sure.
And in the Colosseum, there are like those squares cut out of the ceiling of the arch.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Like they're sort of like
a little
weird,
far away from now, but yeah.
Yes,
they're squares.
the like recesses into the archway.
Um.
So that's a real thing. Which is one thing that I think is really cool about this game especially, but also a lot of the Elden Ring or Dark Souls franchise is like a lot of the architectural motifs and stuff are like real stuff.
Yep.
Like, you know, you'll see a Byzantine arch or whatever, you'll see a flying buttress, like these real things are in the nice jump.
Thank you.
I don't know, it's really cool. I mean, they are hyperbolized to a point where like no building like this could ever exist.
Right.
But all the same, you know, it's really cool. So these things that are like cut into the roof of the arch, if you go to the Pantheon in Rome, which is this building that was built in like the 300s or something. When was this built?
Mm-hmm. Great time to be alive.
Great time to be alive. Built during the reign of Augustus, 27 BC to 14 AD. So this thing was built in year 0. AD. It was not built at the dawn of time.
Okay.
So anyway, it's this building that's made out of largely just concrete, and the Roman concrete is like really incredible, and scientists have spent a long time trying to reconstruct it because it's so light and so hardy, like it stays good for a really long time. Whereas if you'll notice, American concrete pretty much breaks after one time that it snows.
Yeah.
And the whole road and highway collapses. That's largely just because it's cheap. But anyway, so the Roman concrete is great, and they're constructing this dome, right? and the key part of the dome of the Pantheon, or of the Pantheon, is this massive dome with like a hole in the top, an oculus that like light pours through. Highly recommend you guys Google image search if you don't know the building I'm talking about. It's a gorgeous building. Anyway, it has these like recessed squares cut out all along the dome. Like the whole massive dome, those squares are cut out on the whole thing. And at first glance, you might think it's just like a stylistic choice. But actually, not only is it stylistic, but the only way the dome is able to freely support itself is because the weight that is removed from just cutting out those squares makes the dome light enough that it can stand.
Interesting. Is this a unique thing to that, or is this a common architectural hack, if you will?
It is a little like, these 5 architecture life hacks will help you build a dome that's impossible. I don't know if it's that common, but it definitely is used in other like Roman buildings.
Okay. That's cool. I love hearing anyone nerd out about anything insanely specific like that. It's always fun to hear what people know about things you've never thought about ever.
I also like hearing people just like talk about stuff they're passionate about. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a good time.
Hey, Aggie, don't forget to mix your physics.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could give you the name. They're called coffers.
Coffers. Okay.
Yeah, C-O-F-F-E-R.
Shoutouts to coffers. Big fan. Big fan.
Architects hate him.
Can you hear me?
You'll only get a body like this putting coffers in your dome. Anyway, sorry if that was boring, but
No,
now
I
you
mean,
know.
I loved it personally.
Oh, are you here as a
On run 3 of setup, you know, we're just hanging out.
Can we please talk about the game now, Ada? Is that-
Yeah, Elden Ring was released in 2022. Now, this game features something pretty epic. Are you familiar with the Game of Thrones? Now, you may be surprised to find that George, I'm going to assume both R's stand for Richard, George Richard Martin,
Sure.
participate. I'm done with this bit.
It was a good bit. I wasn't just expecting the full Wikipedia page read. Now there's a way to fill some air.
Pick a Wikipedia page.
Any, okay. It doesn't have to be Elden Ring, huh? Mm.
Yeah, just pick something really random and strange.
You know, let's go back to buttresses. Let's revisit.
You know, Wikipedia recently did a redesign of their UI.
Did they? I have not Wikipedia'd in some time.
Yeah, babe, wake up. New Wikipedia drop. I'm not a fan at all.
Oh no.
All right. I'm going to read 2 sentences off this Wikipedia page. You ready?
Go for it.
A buttress is an architectural... This is just to weed out the people who are annoyed right now. A buttress is an architectural structure built against or projecting from a wall, which serves to support or reinforce the wall. Buttresses are fairly common on more ancient buildings as a means of providing support to act against the lateral or sideways forces arising out of inadequately braced roof structures.
Beautiful.
That's basically what I said earlier when I said it helped the building stay up.
Close enough. I like your explanation better because I actually understood that one.
I'll try to see. I think in Lendell there's a couple of them. I'll see if I can see one and point it out when you're running through. It's a rest that butts. Now we're talking.
You can't argue that.
This is why usually it is better to have other speedrunners for the same game in this show so that they can talk about it with you, LOL. But hey, I learned a lot about ancient architecture. You know, this chatter has mastered the art of the positive, negative, positive. where you sandwich a piece of criticism in between a positive comment.
Yep. Why can't we just have fun, Ada? It's
I
such
don't
a
know.
problem.
I think what people don't understand, and to this chatter's credit, maybe they think that this is the first and only run of the day.
True.
That's fair. Worth noting, though, this is PB Precipice. We've been sitting here for 2 hours now. So we've talked about the game quite a bit. But something I would like to note is that I don't know you have any idea what it would be like if you just listened to me and Aggie talk about the game for 2.5 straight hours and nothing else. I hate to say it, but I think it would be less enjoyable.
Well, the point of the show is to kind of present what the average everyday experience of speedrunning is like, right?
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, this is the average everyday experience of speedrunning. It's talking about the most random of things. You are never talking about the game during a speedrun.
Right, because it's so second nature. And ultimately, if you've done how many attempts do you think you've done of Elden Ring across all the speedruns and challenge runs you've done?
I mean, hundreds of playthroughs if we're talking across any sort of thing I've ever done with it ever.
Right, exactly. So can you imagine if every Lil Aggie stream constantly was just, all right, so I'm actually holding shield here because it allows me to move a little faster and get not a short hop and et cetera, every time. Oh my God.
That's what the marathon runs are for, right? I mean, that's GDQ run, so.
And I love, don't get me wrong, I love a marathon run and I love explanations. I really, really do, a lot. But I have had people describe this show to me as more of a podcast than a show, and I think that's accurate.
It's not a bad thing, right?
We're supposed to spam physic every time you sit at a grace.
Yes, please do. The moment of truth is coming up. Just gotta get one more key. Surely we wouldn't forget 3 times in a row.
No. Low-key, I
No.
think that would be a good bit if you did 2 5-hour streams on back-to-back days where you said exactly the same thing for 5 hours.
Just a not rerun.
Yeah, it's exactly
fantastic.
the same commentary. You memorize a 5-hour monologue.
I wonder how many days you could do that in a row before people would notice.
I think some regulars would notice immediately.
Probably.
But yeah, for the vast majority of people, I feel like it'd be a couple streams and then it would catch on Twitter. I feel like somebody would be like, this person is doing this unbelievable thing. And then by week 2, chatters are reciting every line.
Seems to be there is, but I can take gathering. Bear let my hand.
Favorite/least favorite bosses in the franchise, Aggie?
Favorite? Probably gotta be Sword Saint or basically any Sekiro boss. That is definitely the highlight of the series, boss design-wise. Least favorite? Any Elden Ring Phase 2 of a boss fight? All the Phase 2s in this game kind of suck.
What about
in
Horaloo?
my humble opinion. Okay, Horaloo is acceptable. He gets a pass. Check this out, chat. I'm mixing the physics. Pod.
Oh my God.
I don't actually hate the Phase 2s in this game that much, but I do think they're a little over-designed and busy. And tedious to get through.
Ray said, why not just record the whole thing and then say you're not feeling well, so no webcam? Because I think it's more impressive if it truly is you performing it every day.
Right, yeah. It's got to be the dedication and execution, right? Like, you could just play the same bot every game, but that's not interesting. It's not unusual.
Now I kind of want to do this.
It could be really fun, honestly. You could take it a step further and have just the same batch of Ironmon seeds repeat and act like it's a new thing every time.
Wait, and play every seed exactly the same every time.
Yeah, and like debate the same decisions in your head. That would be really, really good, actually.
The longest monologue I've ever had to memorize for a show was like 10 minutes, and that took a long time. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how quickly I'm going to be able to memorize like 2 hours. No, I know, Ray. But I want to like be wearing different clothes. You know what I mean?
Just this little hint that something's different. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't think I have the free time to do this.
I don't know if anyone has the free time to really do that. For such a minor gag.
I have to put the therapy I have to go to down on my taxes. Like this was for work. I ruined my brain for a month. The Odyssey and the Iliad were originally passed down by memory. Slackers.
There had to be a fair amount of improvisation on those retellings, right? I mean, surely.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone has their own little twists.
That's why, you know, oral tradition is one of those amazing things about humanity that, like, it's the reason why every civilization has a great flood story.
Yep.
Because, oh no, LOL, LMFAO, all my crops died in a drought or in a, like, too much rain. Why did that happen? Local shaman has an answer.
Hashtag relatable, right?
LOL. Hashtag for you page. Hashtag. Splits are looking nice right now, Aggie.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Good pizza movement.
Thank you, thank you.
Coincidentally, that's also what gets written on job reports for delivery drivers. Thank you for laughing at that. That was not a laughable joke, so I appreciate that.
I think it was.
Okay, well. Have I ever had a delivery job? No, but I did cook in a pizza kitchen for a year.
Okay.
And low-key, that might be my favorite job I've ever had.
Yeah, I feel that. I used to deliver Chinese food, and that was extremely chill.
Was that like, did you work for one specific restaurant, or were you doing like an Uber type thing?
Yeah, I just walked into my local Chinese restaurant as a teenager, and was just like, can I have a job? And they were like, yes, sign this blank piece of paper, please, and show up tomorrow. And I said, okay.
Don't you love high school labor laws?
Yes. It was great, though. I loved that job. Oh, that's incredible video game. Thank you so much. Well, this is gonna get real dicey real fast. Well,
Nice position.
yeah, that was really cool. What do I do with you? Okay, sure. Thank
Immaculate.
you, Bleed.
Immaculate improvisation.
You know, that didn't even lose that much time, really. Shoutouts once again to contextual button presses, a speedrunner's favorite.
That was really great.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that improv. Not bad.
I liked how halfway through you said, "What do I do with you?"
It's an important question to ask.
Yeah, to be fair. Jumping in this game definitely added like a level to speedrunning that's kind of interesting for a Souls game.
I agree. It's got more fun movement for it, for sure. The traditional Souls games have their own fun little movement quirks that are slightly missing from this game, but it's mostly there. I'm still partial to Sekiro, of course, which the best thing about Sekiro is no stamina, so you don't have to worry about stamina management. That is definitely a concept that I generally struggle with doing these runs, just because it's not what I am used to.
I didn't even think about that. That's really interesting, actually.
Yeah, stamina management is huge in Souls, just in general, obviously, but for speedrunning and getting around and executing strategies, it's like a big part of it.
Right. I meant more along the lines of like, I didn't think about the fact that for you, it wouldn't really be a consideration usually.
Yeah, no, for Sekiro, I mean, you're just holding the button and you're going, right? Or you're just doing as many actions as you want, when you want. Which, in my opinion, is a more fun playstyle. I think stamina's a little outdated. I would love to see more Souls-likes with no stamina. I think it's more interesting when the game forces you to not just spam just via the design of the enemies rather than an arbitrary bar that goes down, you know?
Do you agree that this is Game of the Year?
For sure, yes.
Yeah, same.
I don't think it could ever be up for debate. I mean, maybe not your favorite game of the year, but like, this for sure had a huge impact and is like, you know, it's not God of War 2, you know, like, it's something pretty unique and special and a step forward for this kind of game, I would say.
I presume.
It's unbelievable to me that this game is real.
Right, yeah.
Not the least of which just because I've been in the QA department for a AAA studio. I cannot even fathom QAing this game.
Yeah. I could not fathom QAing most games, honestly, or most modern games at least. It is a monumental task.
I just can't believe that this or Breath of the Wild are as solid as they are.
Yeah. Well, that's some bad RNG. Okay, we stopped the really bad attack. That's all that really matters. In phase 1, Rykard has a attack where he dips his head into the ground and then kind of like flips it out and has this like little earthquake. And it is essentially impossible to dodge, and it will one-shot you, and it's really stupid. So as long as we stagger him out of that, we're cool.
Nice.
Thank you, thank you.
So there was a comment in chat that I want to address really quick. Somebody said, the players always find 10x more in one day than QA, just not possible for them to find it all. Here's what I'm going to say to that. First of all, I understand that you are actually saying this to QA's benefit, and I agree. I mean, here's the thing about that, right, though, is like, first of all, the vast majority of QA's job is not to find speedrun bugs. It's to make sure the game functions and that like the trees look right and that the enemies behave properly and that the core mechanics function and that the shadows are correct and that the light probes are placed in the right locations. Like that's 90% of the job, right? Second of all, the biggest QA departments, like let's say that FromSoft is in-house. There's no way it's more than a couple hundred people, right? And even that is far more than it probably actually is. They definitely have third-party support, but even then, the player base of this game on day one was like 5 million people. Like you can't replicate a workforce of 5 million people.
No, definitely not.
And then last of all, something I would say is that there's actually a pretty good likelihood that QA did find a lot of the stuff that was day one craziness or whatever. But the thing is that a lot of times what happens is that like you'll bug it, right, and send it to the relevant developer, and the developer might just be like, I can't fix this right now. Like, A, we're too close to launch, and fixing this could break other stuff. Or B, this is not important. Which, when it comes to speedrunning glitches, they're right.
Yep.
Now, the only thing I would say, though, is that Miyazaki tends to hate speedruns.
It is a character when it comes to speedruns, yep.
So for him specifically, I don't know. I feel like if a speedrun bug came across his desk, he'd be like, we will fix this at the cost of all functionality.
They have for sure made this game worse from some of their patches, just specifically to disallow people doing things that they do in speedruns, which is very silly.
I think it is a massive L, in my opinion. Speedrunning is so cool, and the people who like your game the most are the speedrunners.
Yep. That said, I always fully understand when devs like to patch a speedrun relevant thing that's like actually bad for casual players. Like, of course, do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But if it's literally hurting no one, like, why are you wasting the time?
Yes. If a casual end user will never see the bug, there's no reason to fix it.
Yep.
Anyway, good luck.
Thank you. Oh, nice. We still got the stagger. Okay, this should be a quick kill.
Very nice. That phase skip is so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Also, for anyone wondering, Godric is one of very few bosses in this game that just gives you kill credit immediately. And you can just quit out without waiting for enemy feld to appear. And it'll just show up afterward.
Can you, Aggie, can you explain how stagger buildup works?
Yeah, so basically every boss in this game has a hidden poise meter, and you know, depending on what attack you do, you'll do a certain amount of poise damage to them. And so that meter is constantly kind of like depleting if it's filled up at all. So you need to do a certain amount of poise damage within a certain amount of time to actually get it to trigger a stagger. So like on Morgoth, if you do 2 charge R2s with the Serpent Hunter and 1 R1, he will stagger. But only if you do that within like a 10-ish second period. Otherwise, the posture damage you've done will wear off and the final hit will not stagger. So you kind of have to keep in mind at all times like how long it's been since you last hit him. And there's kind of like a grace period where poise will not wear off for a few seconds since the last attack. So a lot of the time you'll want to just kind of like get in a cheeky R1 here and there, or like you could use like throwing daggers to quickly just get a hit in to kind of reset the timer on the poise depletion. So that's a big thing for speedruns to keep in mind is knowing when a boss will and will not stagger. And I can assure you, if you misjudge that and assume they will stagger and they don't, you are probably dying.
That is very interesting. Thank you.
Yes. I think there's actually a mod to kind of show the hidden meter to get a better idea of how the build-up works, which I have not used, but I probably should because it would be very helpful just for practice and research purposes to kind of see behind the scenes.
Right. Are there powerful practice tools?
Yeah, there is a speedrun specific practice tool for this game, which is very nice. Can spawn in items with it, can reset coordinates, etc., etc. Show certain hitboxes. It is very good.
How's that sun doing to your eyeball there, Aggie?
It could be better, yeah. It is one little hole in the blinds. I've got so I used to have a display sponsorship for my stream and YouTube. I've done a few plugs for them. So they've sent me displays that I do not have room to display. I have these 3 behind me because I
they
love
just on your
my
blinds?
souls. Yeah, so I have all these spare displays and I just put them behind the blinds of my window whenever I do a daytime stream to attempt to block the sunlight. But yeah, there's just a little bit that still gets through, and at just the right time of day, goes straight
Like that scene
to me.
in that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark where the sun like goes through the perfect hole to line up and hit the staff.
Yeah.
Gamers, I gotta say one more time, if you are not following Aggie on Twitch, and if Ray, if we could get a shout out in Twitch chat as well. It genuinely is such an enjoyable stream, and it's been a delight to see it grow so much over the last 2 years. It's a great community to be a part of, and also you get to be a stander, which is pretty cool.
Where are my standards at?
That's right.
And make sure you give Adaf a follow as well. Okay, I'm sure most of you already do, but he has a lovely stream himself.
Gosh.
Gosh.
All right, we're just going to go back and forth then. YouTube.com/Lil Aggie. If you're already on YouTube watching this VOD after the fact, what are you doing? Get this man a gold play button, for God's sake.
That would be
Silver
really cool.
is not high enough. When's the Aggie Platinum play button, do you think?
You know, I'll give myself till 2099. We've got time.
2099. It's pretty generous.
I'll probably live that long, baby.
Yeah, man.
Ripe old age of 103.
Quick math.
It's doable.
That would make me 101.
Look at you, so young and spry.
You're literally 2 years older than me.
You know what I actually hate when people do is when mid-20s people complain about being old. That's a pet
dumb.
peeve of me.
I also hate that. Like, yes, my body already is not acting the way it used to, but also, like, I'm fine.
Yeah. Just gotta take care of yourself.
Yeah. That is opportunities for more speedruns. Yeah, I can't wait for Elden Ring 6 to come out in 2060.
I see thee, little tarnish, smoldering with that wretched flame of ambition.
So this run is actually going pretty good so far, I would say.
Yeah, you're on great pace right now.
Yep.
Don't
My PB
screw it
actually
up,
had-
okay?
I won't. Fine. My PB actually had a pretty good first half. Although we've got time save here, I got a really dumb death here, and I had a dumb death on Gold Tree. So we'll get some time there, and then that's pretty much it until we get to the final boss rush. There's actually a really, really cool method of killing this boss we're approaching with nothing but the starting shield. And it technically is faster to do, but only if you get perfect RNG and only if you get it right the first try. If I was doing the Bloodhound Fang route, it would be required. You can do a parry and knock this guy off the ledge and he insta-dies, and it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but with Serpent Hunter, there's no real reason to not just do the easy R2 scripted fight.
It's nice to see him get destroyed.
Yeah, that guy is a bit of a jerk.
All right, I am on Buttress Lookout Committee.
Okay.
That's what me and the boys are called.
Buttress spotting.
A day out on the town looking for some nice buttress.
Incredible.
There's one right there. Okay, you see on that staircase, the structures to the left and right, there's like 6 of them or 8 of them
Okay.
that were like...
And it's the one in the distance or the staircase I was actually going up?
in the distance by
Okay,
the herb
yes.
tree.
Yep.
That are like holding the structure up. Those are flying buttresses.
I see. And now we know.
And now we know.
Close. This jump right here is only necessary because Miyazaki hates fun. There used to be an extremely easy way to get down here quickly, but they patched it, and now we just get to do the same thing, but in a more annoying fashion. Thanks, Miyazaki. Oh, joy.
One nice thing I will say, you know, we can yell about the quit outs all we want, but it just so happens that even if you fail this, you don't lose that much time.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, only at each attempt is only like 3 seconds. There we go.
It's just so close. It's really so close to dying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little spooky. The worst part is that like that little jump doesn't actually skip anything, so there was truly no reason to patch it. It harmed no one. It just saves 30 seconds of walking. Like there's no boss skip, there's no required encounter skipped. It was just fun.
You're not allowed to have fun in the game, okay?
I know, it's unintended fun.
How many times do I have to tell you this? You're supposed to hate it. You're supposed to hate it. Aggie, I have a pressing, burning question.
Shoot.
This one's really gonna flumble your flambles, okay?
Okay.
How are you?
You know, I'm all right. I am all right. This is not my usual waking hour, but besides that, no complaints. I would have had a complaint if that killed me. That was a little spooky.
I like the honesty.
How are you, Adif?
My God, I thought you'd never ask. I'm also all right. I'm having fun watching Elden Ring speedruns with my friend Lil Aggie. I had a bit of a rough day yesterday, but today is better in almost every way.
Good. I'm
you know what?
glad to hear it.
That's pretty epic.
We all have our not so fun days.
Yeah. Mine was my own fault, which is always fun. I had a little too much to drink
Oh, no,
on Friday night, and Saturday was wrought with problems.
Okay, that was pretty much a perfect gold-free fight.
That was awesome.
My man was cooperating.
My man was cooperating.
Don't you love it when they do that?
Love that.
Better than not cooperating.
Wait, hang on. You're like low-key racing Dist right now.
Really?
Yeah. He just finished gold free.
He's been on the grind as well.
How improved is the Serpent Hunter? I think right now it's like +5 or 6.
It is +6 right now, yep.
Those are the buttresses right there on the right and left.
Oh, I see them.
He sees the buttresses. All right, good luck.
Thank you. Oh, you little rascal. See, okay, now that is a great example of going for a stagger, but it was just too late. He had lost the buildup on the stagger, so it no longer worked. That's really rough.
Good news, you've got this.
I certainly hope so. It's a much more involved fight now. Oh, okay, buddy. You know, I picked up the runes at least. That's the important thing.
I hate to tell you that you're losing the race right now.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Just simply hate to tell you.
You know, this might be a slightly better at this category than me.
But you know what you have that he doesn't have?
A serpent hunter?
That's right. And your name is Lil Aggie, which is not his name.
True. Could you not, Morgan? Oh, Morgas. Yeah, this is going to be a really fun time.
Yeah, we all know that you're just distracted by the buttresses. That's okay.
Yeah. I just see them everywhere now. That's all I can think about. It's all that occupies my mind.
It's like the Tetris effect, but for buttresses. I mean, look at them. They're stunning.
The good thing is that we had some time to play with her.
Yeah.
Foolish ambitions to rest.
It's really wild that
Excuse me?
kills in one.
Yeah, it's like about half of his moves kill. Oh man, that's so rough.
Chat room, you're not putting your power. You got to put your power in. This is important.
I need to get, I think, 4 R1s and then a charge or 2 in quick succession to get a stagger and then get this script roughly on track. Okay. No? No stagger? Oh, that's a disaster now. I didn't pick up the runes this time because I just didn't get the chance. I thought for sure that would be staggered and be okay.
Well, Aggie, there is an upside to this.
Is there really an upside to this?
There is. If
Tell
you
me.
don't PB now on the show, that just means people have to watch you PB later on your
True.
own stream.
True. Wow, that's an extremely early that attack. Well, dude. Oh.
Salvations to rest.
I didn't know that follow-up existed. I think you can see the problem with fighting him normally here, right? Like I have to at least attempt to get a stagger to go into the normal fight, because just R1ing him over and over again will take forever, and I get one shot. So I could get really deep into a quote unquote casual kill and then just die. It's really, really rough.
The good news, Aggie, is that like there's no law that says you have to finish a run. Like it's okay.
Uh-huh.
Hell, I played Ironmon on stream a couple of weeks ago and I didn't make it past Brock. So like it's all
Ooh.
good.
Well, that's a stagger. Okay. Can maybe work with this. Yeah, this might be scripted. Why are you doing that? Who told you could just backstab? Oh my lord. Morgan, you little rascal.
He really do be avoiding that charge R2 at the last second.
No. That's so he did that the first run too.
Yeah, it's
but
happened
we
both
actually
times.
successfully managed to improvise. Would you believe me if I told you that's unlikely?
I would, yeah. You know, it's not easy being unlucky.
It's really not, no.
Very nice.
Okay. Jeez Louise.
Thy part in this shall not be forgiven.
Pog champion.
Something like that.
Please break
On the bright
chair.
side, I will break the chair. You got to break the chair. It's just so fragile.
It's so dumb.
Just breaks into a million pieces instantaneously.
Allow me, you are prevented the thorn.
On the bright side, I figured out a better way to back that up.
So I'd like to the flame and guide.
Yeah, honestly, and this probably isn't what you wanted on the show, but I think it is cool. That turned into like an interesting practice / figure it out moment.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like in future runs, I feel like you have maybe a more solid backup now.
for sure. Yeah, so usually if I screwed that up, I would go for 4 R1s into a charge R2 for stagger.
Right.
But just spamming R1s until he staggers is way better. Like, way, way better. Because that way, if you ever misjudge what he's going to stagger, you're just doing an R1 and you could probably roll out anyway. So at least now we know.
What is the backup for losing the runes?
Deal with it. That's
All
the
right.
backup. I did take some precautions. I didn't pop any of my remembrances yet, just in case. I'll just pop them on this elevator instead.
So you're not going to lose as much.
So yeah, I didn't lose as much, but I will be... What are you doing? This is a situation.
We love a quit out.
I will definitely be at least like 3 levels short or something like that. I think if you lose... Okay, well... That's never happened before.
Oh,
I think if you lose
died.
all of the runes...
He set the thing!
If you lose all of the runes, including the remembrances, it's like 12 levels lost. I only lost like half, so maybe we're like 6 levels short. That's actually preposterous. What? Okay. I was expecting failure there, and then it worked, and it really just threw me for a loop.
Aggie, guess what?
What?
Chicken butt.
Adolf, let's not start with this again.
I waited months. I waited months to get you again.
Oh my god. I had forgotten all about the chicken butt incident.
Well, I'm just proud that it happened again.
One of these days, Adolf. One of these days.
I'm ungettable.
We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, there's history here, chat. There's history here. Is the guy here? Oh, I love the guy.
They're just there's 2 guys even.
We should name
Oh
them.
my god, what is he doing? This is a run. This is definitely a run.
I'm loving it.
Nah, that makes one of us.
Love these
Souls like speedrun experience right here.
Let's go.
Hope you like the load screens.
What's the chicken butt lore? Oh, I think I just got Aggie on his stream like a year ago.
It's true.
And that's really that. Yeah, you say your first response being, "Adef, let's not start this again." It's very funny.
If you're already wondering why I didn't just spend the runes before Morgoth, by the way, I explained it before, but you need 45 strength for the intended Morgoth strategy to work. Otherwise, you will do too much damage, and he'll go to phase 2 before he staggers, and it throws everything off.
It's so cool that it's scripted to that point, that like
Yeah.
the strat is so dialed in.
I mean, I suppose I maybe could have got like a 46 or 47 strength and gotten away with it. I'm not really sure. But you definitely can't just dump them all and get all the way up to like 60 or whatever.
Aggie, I moved into a new apartment last March, so almost a year ago. And I moved in with some friends of mine.
Nice.
And maybe the first week that I moved into the apartment, I tried to chicken butt one of my roommates because I'm an upstanding citizen.
Uh-huh.
And I said, guess what? And he said, chicken butt. And I said, this is going to work out just fine.
Was he known of your chicken butt ways beforehand, or was this a hard read?
No, this was a hard read.
Wow.
And it's been a great experience. No complaints.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm very happy for you.
Using video game terms like hard read about real life situations
Isn't it great?
is always funny.
Always good for a laugh.
I agree. I've definitely had moments where I accidentally think of my life in frames. Have you done that before?
Not frames specifically, but I mean, I definitely am like, wow, that's a time loss.
Yeah. I have had moments in my life where I out loud said or in my brain thought and immediately hated myself for it, but was just like, yeah, it's like 5 frames.
It's a unit of time, just an unusual one.
But life doesn't move in frames.
Suppose not.
But I mean, I guess if you say it runs, if you say like, all right, 60 frames in a second as a standard, then yes, you could say something takes a certain number of frames as like a unit of time, but
No.
frames aren't a unit of time. It's a refresh rate. It's the inverse of time.
It's true. Ever said PogChamp around non-Twitch people?
Yes, and I wanted to die.
Yeah, it's not great.
I hate, because just like so many Twitch memes, it entered my vernacular on accident because I said it as a meme, like ironically, for like a month, and now it's in there for good.
That's how all slang is. It always starts ironically. And then you realize, wait a second, this is actually a fantastic word.
Or like, oh no, I just said L to my mom.
Yeah.
Like, that's no good. Thoughts on Mountaintops of the Giants, Aggie?
It did not need to exist. This could have been the DLC area, and that would have been fine with me. I feel like myself and several players were expecting the end of the game at Landell,
Yep.
or at least like, you know, an ending-ish sequence, and then there was just this whole other thing afterwards, and it was a little exhausting.
Yeah. I will say, though, the ending is cool.
Of Mountaintops or just the game?
The game.
Yeah, oh yeah, Fair Missoula and onwards is a really cool sequence. But like, it totally could have just gone to Fair Missoula after Urge Read.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And it
I will
wouldn't feel
say-
like disruptive.
I'm a big pushover for snow levels,
I do like snow levels too.
but this one is definitely a really underwhelming snow level. I still liked it, though.
I agree. Yeah. And I think they knew that players would likely be exhausted at this point because this one's just so linear. It's not as much exploring to do here.
Yeah, this
The
and Fair
downside of
Missoula
that
both
is-
are like proper linear levels. They're like more traditional Dark Souls levels.
Yeah. The problem is you have to ride for 5 minutes through this thing every time. And there's just nothing interesting going on. It's just a really, really, really long linear path.
Are there skips?
There
Like,
are
I feel like I've
a few
seen some
skips,
platforming
yeah.
skips.
Yeah, there was a new 10-second time save found the other day that I'm not doing. But you can kind of climb up the mountainside instead of go across the invisible bridge, and it's a bit faster.
You know that really famous image of the construction workers in New York sitting on the I-beam eating lunch?
Iconic.
Very iconic. Somebody should make fan art of you and me eating lunch on the flying buttress in Lendell.
Yes. What's your preferred lunch sandwich?
I have been eating some variation of the same sandwich for lunch for like genuinely 20 years.
Damn, okay, committed.
It is a turkey sandwich. The bread, I like lots of different kinds of bread, so I'm not really picky about that.
Okay.
But turkey, either cheddar or Swiss or provolone cheese, mustard,
Well, then I presume.
and some kind of corn chip, whether it be Fritos or tortilla chips, I don't care.
In the sandwich or with the sandwich?
Both.
Okay, wow.
You do a small layer of chips atop the top layer of cheese before the bread. It's like you do the mustard and then put just a thin layer, just like one small layer of chips just to give it some texture and a nice bit of salt, and then chips on the side.
Yeah, that sounds incredible.
I have been eating it since I was 4 or 5 years old, and I have yet to dislike it. What about you, Aggie? What's your go-to sandwich?
You know, I don't eat sandwiches that often, but I'm definitely a turkey enjoyer. Turkey, whole grain bread, and I enjoy the
like a whole
provolone as
grain.
well.
Provolone is so goated, dude. Mm-hmm. Oh, goated. That's another word I can't get out of my brain.
It's good work.
No vegetables. I'm in general bad about including vegetables in sandwiches, but I do like it. Like a nice Here's the thing, though. If you're doing lettuce, you don't need chips on the top.
Sure.
But like lettuce or avocado can add a nice little bit of flavor and some crunchiness for the lettuce. That is funny to me every time it happens.
Big hand.
Yeah. Slap. Have fun with the big fire guy.
Thank you, and I'm looking forward to it.
Lots of sandwich enjoyers in the chat room right now.
Oh, I whiffed. Oh, that's not good. Man, that would have been a good fire giant if that hit. Just a step too early. Not in love with this position he's elected to take here. Okay.
It's kind of nice that he rolled that way instead of the other way.
Yeah. I'm stuck on his backside here. Do you see how little damage that is? Is that not preposterous?
Yeah, that fully charged R2 should be doing a lot more of his health bar than that. That's pretty dumb.
Like, I get it's not his weak point, but my god. Oh, that's rough.
Hey, you did it, though.
We did do it at least. Well, it's something.
And if you think about it, if you really think about it, that's what it's all about.
It's true. And you know, I was short on levels there anyway, so
That's true.
it was probably not going to work out perfectly regardless, even if I didn't whip.
Aggie, did you also go around the other way? On this
I went
cauldron
just straight to
first
the
time?
middle. I mean, there's a little island in there. Like, surely that's where you're meant to go, right?
I also fully died in there like 2 or 3 times. I did not see
it
this.
looks so inviting.
It does.
Yeah.
The pizza is right there. You're gonna make this big cauldron and I can't go down into it?
Right.
Like, Genuinely though, like no bit, I knew that this would be a thing that like you gotta light this on fire. And so I assumed that the big cutscene moment would happen inside, not just like on the edge.
Right, exactly.
Hey, ancient Rome, does this architecture make my buttress look big? That's a good chat comment. I like that one. Nice work. Did you level up your health, big guy?
After Noble.
There you go.
Or after Duo, I mean. We want as much damage as possible for Duo, because ideally, assuming I don't completely blow it, they will be sleeping. So we just want to make sure we have enough damage to kill them without having to actually fight.
These guys are really angry.
Attack pattern. Yeah,
They're really angry.
they go for it. They sure do go for it.
They've got something going on. Aggie, if I may be so bold to ask, what's sort of the what's the lay of the land look like for Aggie streams in the coming weeks?
You know, I've been Elden Ringing out of my mind lately, so I think in the very near future we're gonna take a little Ironman break for a day or two.
Okay.
And after
nice.
that, you know, I don't really know. Elden Ring something, surely. There is a Elden Ring bingo league coming up in March, so we've been doing a lot of practice and preparation for that. I'm very excited for that. If you guys don't know what speedrun bingo is, that's kind of been my main squeeze lately, and it is so fun. It's a 5x5 board of random objectives in the game, and you are racing your opponent to complete a bingo line of them. And there are many, many variations on it. I think it's very fun.
I've been thinking we should probably have some Elden Ring bingo on Challenger approaching.
Yeah, I would love that. Would you support multiple players, or would this just be a bingo showcase? One person?
Let's talk.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
Because I mean, Ocarina of Time bingo is my favorite thing in the whole world, and I'm almost not even really exaggerating. So I've been loving the Elden Ring bingo content. I've been lurking in like everybody's stream, just watching that all the time.
I mismenu that every single time.
Best of luck to you there, big guy.
Thanks, buddy. You know what? We're actually going to quit out. You know why? Because I did not craft a spare pot. You only need 3 if this goes perfectly, but, you know, better safe than sorry. Okay, should be good. Right, and normally he would die there, but we are short levels. Not bad though.
It's kind of cool to see that effect so obviously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like in a lot of speed runs or whatever, or challenge runs, it's difficult to see if stats are slightly underleveled for whatever reason. But it's cool. I mean, unfortunate, but cool to see like, oh, this boss would have died from this attack, but it still has HP left.
Yep. And it's a good showcase of why every single level is actually really important in this route, and why I can't just dump it into Vigor for safety.
Because that is what I feel like, you know, even I've played a lot of Souls, but even from my perspective, oftentimes I'll watch a speedrun and be like, man, why aren't they just dumping everything into strength right now? Or why aren't they dumping this stat or whatever?
Yep.
And it's, you know, somewhat obviously, I guess, or not obviously, because it's really tightly routed.
Okay, yes, Vigor. Okay. Thank you, chatters. $17 is the magic number.
That was a fun camera.
Yeah. Yeah, it likes to do stuff like that. It gets a little silly. That is such a nice skip. It is called the Farum Bird Skip, which anyone that's played this game knows that bird section sucks really, really badly. So to skip that and save time is beautiful.
Wait, that also skips the dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, the dragon.
Oh my god. Wait, that's so nice.
Yeah, we call him Frank. Good old Frank the dragon. That's also where the Somber 10 is.
Oh, yes, that's right. Man, that must save a decent chunk of time, actually.
I'm not sure how much it is, but yeah, definitely a decent chunk.
Good luck with Malika.
Thank you.
Let's get some standers in the chat one last time here.
Our last stand, if you will.
That's right.
The jokes just write themselves.
Hey, there are those coffers right there.
Ah,
on the
yes.
ceiling.
I see them.
Those are they.
Who approacheth destined death, I will not have it stolen from me again.
Beautiful.
Textbook. I feel like that's a really good example for everybody of why, if you die on the first attempt, it becomes so difficult.
Yeah, extremely difficult to get anything like that to happen if it doesn't work out the first time. And also a great showcase of why that vigor mattered.
Yeah, living that attack.
Oh, man.
Here we
This is
go
definitely
with our...
frustrating part
What's
of,
frustrating about it?
of Elden Ring speedrunning, or just any Souls speedrunning, right? Like, it's just a one mess up kind of thing. It throws the whole thing off. It's a very punishing game. Because if you think on the whole, I mean, this is a pretty great run.
Yeah.
It was just the one thing that went bad. It just went really, really, really bad.
Yeah, the first 40 minutes were like so tight.
Okay, this is a cool little trick with Gideon here. So he gives his little dissertation at the start. And if you R2 him during a certain voice line, this one right here, he just doesn't react to it and you get 2 more for free. If you hit him any earlier than that, he will immediately roll away. Oh! Okay,
How did you get? How did you?
That's
get
a Dark Souls 1 backstab right there. It's okay.
He fully teleported behind you. Or you teleported behind him.
Nothing personnel.
A lord. Not even you. A man cannot
Yep.
kill a god.
Yeah, Gideon skip was patched.
It's also a glitch, I think, decided upon, since it skips a required boss, and it's like pretty clearly out of bounds. Like if you go the wrong way, you don't have textures.
Then yeah, definitely OOP.
Not universally agreed upon though.
The OOT community would argue if there's collision and you're standing on it, it's technically allowed.
Yeah. Just the interesting differences of opinions.
It's just that communities decide what they decide.
Yep. Okay, this is the boss I'd probably struggle the most with. Let's see what happens. As you can see, yeah, that did not quite go to plan.
That didn't look right to me.
You don't know it, but it was not quite right. Not quite right. So he always opens with that attack on your first attempt, and you want to wrap around him. You can get caught on him though, like I did there, and then it doesn't work out so good. And now we get to improvise. This is my favorite boss, casually.
Hard agree. Nice dodge.
Very interesting stagger timing there.
Yeah.
So ideally, we want to get a stagger right at the start of Horaloon, and then the whole phase is basically skipped. But just the way the phase 1 worked out was not going to allow for that. So I just didn't even go for it. Are you joking, dude?
No way.
Are you joking that that didn't kill? Oh my lord. That is preposterous.
I'm deeply saddened by this.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. So I went for a charge R2 there. And the way the charge R2 works is kind of weird. So if you just press it, obviously it just does standard R2 damage. And then if you hold it, but let go relatively quickly, it's still basic R2 damage. And then like halfway through the like charge up period to max charge, it actually starts getting more and more damage added. So I thought I had hit that point because I definitely did not need a full charge R2. But I got the minimum R2 instead, and that was just not enough. Okay. I did not know what he was doing there. That was weird.
I'd say we probably got time for one more attempt.
Yeah.
Because there is another show after this one.
Sure. Hopefully he just gives me the quick kill here. That would be really, really nice.
That's what's going to happen.
I hope so. Oh, no, this isn't going to work for quick. He's going to phase right here, I think. Yeah, I need him to withstand one more attack before going phase 2. And then I should be able to just basically skip the horror loop part. Hello? That hitbox is very interesting.
Unfortunately,
range
Aggie,
on it.
I think we'll have to. I think we'll have to save it for an Aggie stream.
Sure.
Gamers,
What I could do, if you don't mind, is I could load a save state and just do the final boss.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, let's do it. This final boss is pretty consistent, I would say. Okay, hopefully this loads the right file.
Gamers, in the meantime, while Aggie's loading this up, please do follow Aggie on Twitch, twitch.tv/littleaggie. You get to see full runs all the time. Aggie streams like 5 times a week. And it's a good time, so check him out.
Okay, we'll just pretend that went well.
At least we learned about buttresses. That's right.
We sure did. Oh, Radagon, you little rascal. Okay, give me one more try at this,
Okay,
and then we will call it.
I'm giving you one more. You got it, baby.
Thank you.
You got it. Worth noting again that like the show is called PB Precipice. The idea is to show you what a speedrunning stream actually looks like. Like genuinely, attempts don't finish all the time. It is what it is.
That's a harsh reality.
It is.
Okay, thank you, Radigan. Nice little catch there. Unless we get a really lucky pattern here, we're not going to get the one cycle, but that's okay.
What's an Elden Beast attempt without a little Elden Stars for the fans?
Yeah. Well, that was not Elden Stars, actually. That was,
Oh, is that the other one?
The rain one. Yeah, that's the other one.
Because Elden Stars is the horrible, horrible, horrible one.
Yeah, they actually nerfed it, though, and now it barely functions, so it's not that bad.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he's pulling it out right now, but he will not get the chance.
GG Lil Aggie.
Thank you. Something like that, at least. Slight
Excellent
mishaps,
work.
but you know what happens.
Aggie, any final thoughts?
Speedrunning is hard. Yes, there's a thought.
That's a thought. I would agree. Gamers, everybody go check out Lil Aggie. Thank you so much for watching PB Precipice. As always, I have been ADEF. You can catch me at twitch.tv/ADEF most days. Challenger approaching on Friday. We will have more Elden Ring on Friday. Ain Run will be doing something. He's floated a few ideas and they're all nuts. So
Sounds like Ain.
That will be a lot of fun. But in the meantime, there is more hotfix coming up right after this. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we will have It's Dangerous to Go Alone, hosted by our very own Frozen Flygon, a wonderful show about co-op speedruns. So everybody, please stick around. There is more gaming coming up right after this. Thank you so much for watching, and be well.